Listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. I'm Grady, and live on Discord we got Josh.
Hey!
This is gonna be an NXT bumper episode. We're gonna have to look at the results of NXT No Mercy and look ahead to next week's special episode, NXT Showdown with TNA, which may see us looking at some TNA Victory Road results as well. So let's just knuckle down and look at No Mercy first up. We said that Javon Evans was most likely going to come out on top of that singles match, and he did. It took him a little bit longer than I was maybe expecting, but he did come out on top.
It was a fine match. It was. I think it was more about like showcasing both talents and like building them and giving Javon like the elevation that he needs, which kind of spun off into NXT when he won his right to be on NXT's team.
Yeah, he seems to be like the definition of constantly almost there but not quite. Whether it was, challenging for the NXT title or whether it was his feud with the North American Championship, it seems like he's almost there. He's just like one little piece missing. And I don't know where the storyline for him goes, as you say, obviously on Team NXT for Showdown, but I don't know where he's going to end up going. Maybe into some championship. We'll have to wait and see. But I think he's definitely one of the brighter talents on NXT.
Yep, definitely.
Then talking about bright talents on NXT, Sol Ruka defended the Women's Speed Championship. It was meant to be Lainey Reed, but there was an injury, meaning we had to switch it up to Jada Parker as the opponent. Probably would have changed our predictions. I think we'd expected potentially Lainey Reed to come out on top, and instead it's Sol still standing tall, Zarya still standing next to her for now.
Yeah. Just a reminder that these matches cannot exceed 5 minutes.
The title
as a
matches,
championship
yeah.
match. Yeah. And this one went 4:48, so it almost timed out.
Yeah, I think the speed concept is interesting. I never watched them when they were on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. I see it as a bit of a gimmick, but some people are getting that exposure like Sol Ruka is getting to show this sort of fast-paced piece about it. So I don't hate it right now, but we'll see how long it goes and see if it turns into sort of a Heritage Cup to me, where the gimmick becomes a bit more important than the competitors.
Yeah.
Sounds like Josh has opinions on the speed concept.
Oh, no. You mentioned the Heritage Cup. That's what killed me.
Yes, you have well-documented opinions on the Heritage Cup, which we haven't seen in a while. Maybe it will be taking a back seat with the Speed Championships appearing, potentially. We'll have to see what is in the future for that one, at least. We did have a weaponized steel cage match. Jordan Grace, Blake Monroe went to war, and Grace came out on top.
As expected. I still don't think they're done. They definitely, the video package definitely heavily focused on that match.
Mm-hmm.
So I think round 3 probably happens at Halloween Havoc in probably one of these spin the wheel, make a deal matches. But it should be fun watching that play out. I like everything Jordan Grace has done. She's really talented. Blake Monroe has been pretty good as a heel in NXT. I didn't watch anything of she did in the other company, so I can only base on what I've seen from her since she jumped over.
Yeah, I think it's positive that somebody like yourself with fresh eyes on her is still impressed by what she's doing. My eyes are tainted by her previous work coming over, but I think this is a great feud to get both of these women over, who both do have careers where they've got histories, and some people might be familiar with them and some people might not be. Grace coming from TNA and Monroe coming from AEW. And I think they're both getting the chance to showcase what they're the best at. And it's working really well. I think this match was great. I'm always hesitant when it's a weaponized steel cage match, but I think the two women did well. And yeah, we probably do have a blow off. We're 1-1 now. I don't really know what happens afterwards. It feels like one of them, whoever wins the feud, is going to have to go into the championship picture. Does the loser of the feud float around, pick up another one? Maybe one of these, it would be Grace if either go up to the main roster after the feud concludes. Don't quite know, but I do think their short term is still going to be one more match against each other. NXT...
There's definitely a lot of questions about it.
Yeah. I feel like Grace could go up. I just don't know if they want to pull that trigger just yet. I feel like Blake's only been in NXT for a little while. Similar time to Grace, but I guess Grace has had that period where she was in TNA but still appearing, so people got a bit more familiar with her. We'll see what happens between the two of them. Now, NXT North American Championship. Ethan Page, Tavian Heights. Page retaining.
Yeah, a little bit of surprise. But Ethan Page has been so amazing that I don't care that much that he still hold the title. That said, I think what happened on NXT this week, I think might change my mind about how much longer he's going to hold the title.
Yeah, I know. Coming into this match, I was pretty behind Tavian Heights. It felt like the upstart that they wanted to give the title to, let him have a bit of a run. It wasn't the case, and then, as you say, comes over to NXT, and it's TNA's former WWE, but TNA's wrestler Mustafa Ali that's poking his nose in at a shot at this championship.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, Mustafa Ali wins the title. Because Lord knows we need to have something to go to TNA here. And I think a majority of this special event is going to go TNA's way.
Yeah, it feels like it could be the swing, right? If we look at what's happened previously, the sort of win-loss rate of the two companies have been pretty even through the middle, but when it comes to championships, we've had Trick Williams as TNA champion, we've had JC Jane as TNA Knockouts champion, we now have Kalani Jordan as Knockouts champion, which we'll get to if there's time. It feels like it's been pretty NXT heavy in terms of succeeding in taking away the gold from your opponent. And we have Showdown next week. Pendulum swings the other way. Potentially we see Ali with the North American Championship. We got a tag team title match as well that we'll talk about coming up. I could see both of those swinging. So maybe things are going to start looking TNA's way when it comes to championship gold. But we'll have to see. I mentioned JC Jane there. She's still got that NXT Women's Championship. Might not be the TNA Knockouts champion anymore, but still has one piece of gold and still has one friend by her side in Fallon Henley after Jasmine Nix didn't re-sign. Went up against Lola Vice and revealed she might actually have a second friend still, as it was a hooded attacker that let Jane retain her title.
Very possible. There's still a lot of... I think there's still some meat in the bones with JC Jane as NXT champion. So I'm fine with them being retained here. I do think it's interesting that she actually... When she formed her team with for NXT, she didn't put her buddy on the team.
Yeah, I think... There's a lot happening right now in that NXT women's division, and it feels like everything has kind of just been like waiting to happen. And I wasn't super sure on Jane when she won the title. I was a little iffy, didn't know if it would be a long reign or if it would just be a bit of a transitional championship. You know, we had Grace coming up at the time made a bit more sense. She's proven me wrong. She's definitely gotten me on side through this championship reign. I'm glad she's had it. I'm glad it's run as long as it's going to run. I reckon, as I said with the Grace Monroe stuff, whoever comes out of that feud as the winner probably ends up in a championship feud, probably ends up taking it. But it's been good for Jacy Jayne. I think she's shown me at least a lot and has turned me from a doubter to somebody that's, glad to see her on my screen. And lastly, NXT Championship. We'd been saying since January, who is the man to take out Obafemi, the ruler of NXT, the NXT champion? We said, was it going to be Ricky Saints? It was.
Yeah, it kind of became obvious that it would be over the last couple of weeks. Not that that's a bad thing. Obvious things are not always bad. And I like Ricky Saints. I'm interested in seeing how they progress with him as NXT champion. Obafemi did an amazing work as the NXT champion, and there's very little for him left to do in NXT. So at this point, he's basically going to be the last 6 months of Braun Breaker in NXT, I think, going forward until he's called up, which may be for the Royal Rumble. Who knows?
Yeah, Obafemi with, looking at Wikipedia now, 262 days as champion, making him the 5th longest reigning NXT champion. It was a good reign, good matches against everybody. I'm with you. Switching to Ricky Saints makes sense. It was what they were setting up to do. I would be shocked if I didn't see Obafemi in the Royal Rumble. That's what, January, so we got 10, 11, 3 and a bit months until then. Will he just be squashing
February
people?
1st, so I think it's 4 months almost to the day.
Okay. There's still stuff you can do with him, but you could also just disappear him. Like 4 months is a long time, but I imagine in character he's probably got to do a little bit of thinking about him falling from that top pedestal position. I don't really want to see, the immediate rematch where he just comes back, says, I lost my title, give me a rematch, and has to lose it again to Ricky. I'd like it to be a little bit more protected than that, because if he goes for the title again, he's going to lose a second time. Just let Femi go be a monster. He can be angry that he lost the title and just taking people out left, right, and center. Definitely something that you can do. But I think you pointed out before we hit the record button that his absence for Showdown is something to note. He's not on Team NXT, which is meant to be the 4 strongest competitors with the chance to beat Team TNA. So maybe he is going to take a little bit of a hiatus.
Maybe. Or maybe he goes Big Show on NXT. And he cost Team NXT this match. Possible.
Maybe. Yeah. I could see him not necessarily like defecting, just being mad and coming out and destroying things. So it's definitely possible. I think I want to see what's next. And that's the important part, right? When the champion loses the title, a bunch of things can happen. They can fall from obscurity or they can really rise up. And the first part is us sitting here going, I want to see what's next. What are we going to do with Obafemi? And so that's a positive sign. And let's see where they go with him from here. Well, we're going to jump into our entrance theme this week. Before we talk about the Showdown card exactly and talk a little bit about TNA's Victory Road. But the song this week is Tiffany Stratton's theme, playing for you now.
It's Tiffy time!
And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. I think we've mentioned a lot of the TNA Victory Road stuff to mention, but stuff happening in the TNA knockout scene led to both competitors from the title match falling. Ash by Elegance relinquishing the title. Marsha Slamovich under some controversy right now for her actions with an ex-partner of hers. And it led us to having a battle royal and then a match later on, and Kalani Jordan coming out as TNA Knockouts champion, which was not something I had on my bingo card.
Yeah. And again, that's another reason for what I believe the NXT showdown is going to go TNA's way. Because I think we need to start seeing things swing that way. At least, if not long term, maybe for the short term and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think at the start of the year, when we saw all this going on with TNA and NXT, I don't think there was any thought in any world that we would have said the two people that would have held the TNA Knockouts World Championship would have been Kalani Jordan and JC Jane.
No.
As NXT superstars.
No shot.
Yeah.
I would have picked about 3 or 4 other women before them. It's definitely an interesting one. I think it could have been a little bit of a reset, just because there's so much going on, and it does give us an interesting facet for the NXT TNA showdown. If we look at the Survivor Series 4-on-4 women's match on Team NXT, we got JC Jane, Jada Parker, Sol Ruka, and Lola Vice, despite the fact that Jane and Vice did just fight at No Mercy. And then on Team TNA, we have NXT superstar Kalani Jordan captaining as the champion, teaming with Jessie McKay, Cassie Lee, and Mara Sade. Can we trust Kalani Jordan?
I will say this. Just about 30 minutes ago or so on X, Kalani Jordan posted a very interesting GIF. It was the WCW Steve Austin GIF. And I'm referring to the Invasion WCW Steve Austin. When he was WWE champion, but was part of the Alliance. And that actually might tell us more about what we might expect. Because for all his flaws in that heel turn, he was loyal to the side he chose to right to the end. So I think that might give you some insight.
Yeah, I think these 2 matches, the 2 Survivor Series tag matches, will be interesting. They hammered home. You don't know if you can trust Jordan Grace. You don't know if you can trust Joe Hendry. Neither of them made it onto the teams. And then, we've got Kalani Jordan on there. She is TNA champion. She's not really tied to NXT. If she did truly want to, jump ship for a little while, go do a 6-month stint over there, not in the same way that Trick Williams did, where he's more of a holding your title hostage kind of stint that he's done with TNA, but go, full excursion over to TNA. I could see that with Kalani if she is going to, stay loyal to the TNA side of things.
Yeah. I'm interested. As you said, there's a lot of... I think this might be the one match on Showdown that goes NXT. Because I like NXT's talent a lot more on their team than I do Kalani Jordan and 3 random people I have no clue of who they are.
Well, here, I'm going to run you down on the TNA side. Obviously, Kalani Jordan as captaining, but Jessie McKay, former Iconics member Billy Kay. You've got Cassie Lee, former Iconics member Peyton Royce, and Mara Sade, who formerly went as Jakara Jackson as a member of the Meta 4 in NXT. So that team has a whole lot of NXT experience and redemption, I guess, in their team. Could be a factor.
Could be.
But I am definitely interested in seeing where it goes. It was, we got the former Jakara Jackson on one side. Would have been interesting to see potentially Lash Legend on the other side to have that bit of a callback, but we'll have the match as we have the match. We've also got like triple checking that I've got all of the results. Yep. We've got the men's Survivor Series match as well, 4-on-4. Team NXT with NXT champion Ricky Saints, TNA champion Trick Williams, our Javon Evans that we mentioned previously, and Miles Bourne, another good upstart on NXT, getting a bit of a rub, and going up against Team TNA, Mike Santana, number one contender, Frankie Kazarian, Moose, and Leon Slater, the TNA X Division champion. It is a pretty stacked team on the TNA side of things.
Yeah, I like this match a lot. I think this is going to be a case where it's going to come down to 1v1. I think at the end of the day, I think it's going to probably be, and I think it's going to be because they want to shine maybe a little bit more on him. I think Leon Slater might be the sole survivor.
Okay.
That will also call back to the fact that Leon Slater and Javon Evans are having the X Division Championship match Bound for Glory in like 4 days after this.
Yeah, there is a whole lot going on with this crossover with NXT and with TNA as well. It could go 50 million different ways. I guess I acknowledged Leon's title. Frankie Kazarian is also the international champion for TNA. So a fair bit of gold on that side. And I forgot to mention the Inspiration, the former Iconics, as the Knockouts tag team champions as well. So TNA have stacked their side with champions, or number one contenders in the case of Mike. And it all comes down to where do they want the chips to lie. Is it going to be a full swing to TNA? Is TNA going to pick up everything? Is there still going to be some NXT there? Is there going to be dissension amongst the ranks? There's a lot of egos when you're looking at, Ricky Saints and Trick Williams on the same team for NXT. Don't know how they're all going to coexist.
And that's the exact reason I don't think NXT wins. At least this match. Is because I think, and again, I think I mentioned his name earlier. I could totally see Trick Williams going Big Show on this and walking out, which may lead to potentially a 2-on-1 situation with maybe it being Javon Evans as the last person on Team NXT facing off against Frankie Kazarian and Leon Slater or something like that. Because I think at the end of the match, towards the end, I think because he basically is Mr. TNA, at least since this version of TNA, it would be Frankie Kazarian.
I do love me some Kaz, and I'm not going to be sad if he does, play a massive part in this. Did just pick up a championship at Victory Road, so I don't know. Let's talk about the last match that we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about the North American Championship. Let's talk about the Tag Team Championship, and then we can run down and we can figure out where we think the predictions are going to lie. But there is a winner-takes-all match, TNA World Tag Team Championships, NXT Tag Team Championships. I really hate winner-take-all matches. Do I need to say it again? The Hardys from TNA taking on Dark State from NXT. Everybody is banned from ringside is the note.
Yeah. I think anybody who thinks Darkseid is winning this match needs to remember Rafflemal, because that ain't happening. For multiple reasons. I wouldn't, even if there was no pay-per-view on the weekend after, and no announced match for the TNA Tag Team titles, I would not pick Darkseid to beat the Hardys. They are legends for better or worse, whether depending on excluding what my opinion of them are. And I think them holding both titles will probably do some good for the tag team divisions. And and there's a whole Hardys versus the Dudley Boys for the TNA tag team titles in a tables match 5 days later.
Yeah, I think, as you say, it was already pretty locked in just with the two teams standing across from each other, but it is double locked in with that TNA pay-per-view coming up. So it be what it be. The question is, do they end it in some sort of no contest where you don't have to have the winner take all aspect? Because again, I really hate those. But most
Yeah.
likely, it'll just be the Hardys.
Yeah, but the problem with that, the no
just did
contest,
one.
is they just did that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. It's you can't keep having winner takes all matches, and you can't keep having them be JC Jane won the first one, then we had that no contest, now we're heading into this one. Yeah. Just stop having them. That's the solution here. Well, I'm gonna run down the card, top to bottom. I just want you to say who's coming out on top. Is it gonna be NXT? Is it gonna be TNA? Tag team title match, winner takes all.
TNA.
NXT North American Championship.
TNA.
Women's Survivor Series tag match.
NXT.
And the Men's Survivor Series tag team
TNA.
match. That is a 3-1 TNA ahead of their big pay-per-view coming up this weekend. I don't disagree with any of your picks. There's no need for me to give mine. Well, that is all the time we have for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Bye-bye.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling RND up, our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling RND up, and our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling RND up. And we will catch you next week.